Hey everybody, Matt here, and we're gonna talk about Lightroom presets. Presets are huge. Everybody loves presets. I had no idea they'd ever become as big as they are, but it's pretty cool. I've got free presets for you to download with this video. So right below where you're watching the video, you can grab them. But we're gonna start with everything, how to get them into Lightroom, how to use them, how to update presets. You know, they're never gonna work right out of the box exactly the way you want. So I wanna show you what to do when they don't. We'll talk about how to stack presets on top of each other. Talk about how to find out what's inside of a preset. If you ever wanted to know how to do that, you're probably not gonna like the answer, but you kinda can do it. We'll talk about organizing the presets, and then finally I'll show you how to back them up, because you'll spend a lot of time and energy and money on presets. You don't wanna lose them, and if you switch computers, you're gonna want a quick way to get them over to that new computer. Okay, let's go ahead and start up here. I'm gonna dive in. So the first thing, let's talk about how to get the presets that I have for you here, how to get them into Lightroom. So you're gonna go to the Develop module, and the first thing would be is you got to download the file. So you go download the file, and you'll see it comes in a zip file. And most presets that you download will come in a zip file. So the biggest mistake I see is people try to install the zip file, and that's not going to work. Okay, so don't install the zip file. You got to unzip it, and you're going to see all these LR template files inside of there. So those are your Lightroom presets. That's the first thing to look for. Now, once we do that, once we got them onto our desktop or wherever you want them, and it doesn't matter where you put them now, by the way, so just dump them on your desktop. We'll come over here to the presets panel, and I'm just gonna right click anywhere inside this panel. I'm gonna choose new folder. I'm gonna call it Ultimate Presets. I'm gonna hit create. So now I have a new folder down here. And then what I'm gonna do is right click on that folder and choose import. Go to the folder that's got the presets in it, click on one, shift click on the last one, and hit import, and bam, you're done. They all show up right inside of that folder. So there's all the presets. Lots of fun stuff in here. You know, I've got this warm sunshine look, brilliance and warmth. Let's go ahead and reset that one. Let's go to a different photo here. You know, bold colors, kind of boost the color a little bit. The garden, kind of have some warmth in it. Silhouetted, that wouldn't look, the matte faded look, you know, this is a popular Instagram type of a style. A vintage look, again, another popular style out there. Some black and white looks, and then there's some really good landscape stuff here too. I've got one called Twilight, so kind of boost the colors, probably a little bit too much, and I'll show you, you know, we can adjust that stuff afterwards. We've got another one here. Let's go to Forest and Trees. Probably a little bit too green, so I'll undo, and all I'm doing is going to undo. I just press Command or Control Z, and I'll go down here. Let's see, what's another one here? Midday Shooter, try that one out. Kind of gives everything a little bit of a brighter type of a look. The sunshine will probably look good there. So lots of cool presets that you can play with in there. These are all the files that you see at the bottom. These are all included with the course, which is why I'm using them here. So you'll be able to, there'll be an option to download the photos that I use, and that's what I'm running through here. Now, so we can see how to use presets. All you got to do is click on them. But I think what's really going to happen is you're going to click on a preset. So for example, you know, what was one that, like, let's go with the sunshine. Let's go with that one. So I click on the preset. Looks pretty good. To me, the clouds get a little bit too bright. So then you come over here to the right-hand side and take a look. Most of the stuff happens for this one in the basic panel. So I open up the basic panel, and you know, what kind of settings do I have applied here? Well, it's got some exposure boosting to it. The highlights, you know, maybe we pull back a little bit on the highlights more than the preset did. The shadows might be a little bit too bright. The whites, look at the whites are cranked up. That's a pretty good sign that that preset did that. All right, so just back off on that. And that's a pretty common preset workflow, is don't think of it as the be all end all. They're gonna be a starting place, and usually a fast starting place. They can go through, you know, 7 panels and add settings all right away. And then you go in and you kind of just tweak them. Now, the question I get a lot is, you know, how do I know what's inside of a preset? Unfortunately, Lightroom doesn't have a way to do this. I'm gonna show you a way. You're not gonna like it, but I'll show it to you. It's, you know, go over to the preset panel, right click on a preset and choose Show in Finder or Explorer if you're on a PC. So it's gonna open up the Finder Explorer window. Then go take that preset file and open it in a text editor. So on the Mac, I've got one, I think it's called Text Edit. I think the PC was called Notepad or something like that, but there's a Text Edit, and you look through here, and anything that's not 0 is a setting that's in the preset. So blacks, clarity, contrast, exposure, let's see here, highlights. So all this other stuff is 0. There's a vignette in there. There's some saturation. So the orange has some, the yellow has some, the shadows, the temperature, the tint, the vibrance, the white balance. You can see all this information. So you can kind of see what's in a preset. It's a weird way to do it. Like I said, I don't think you're gonna like it, but if you do want to see what's inside of a preset, that's really gonna be the way that you're gonna want to do it. Okay, next up. So we saw what's in a preset. How do we apply presets? We've applied it to one photo here. How do we apply it to multiple photos? Well, let's say that I have a black and white preset. All right, so here we go. Let's grab this photo, and I'm gonna go down here and apply the bold black and white to it. So I've applied it to that photo, and I look, you know what, maybe I wanna apply it to 3 more down here. And don't forget, the import dialog box has a place to apply presets. The problem is it's gonna get applied to the whole shoot. When you go into the import dialog, you'll see here all the same presets. Sorry about that. One more time. All the same presets are listed right here. So here's all my presets that I just added, and here's all the other ones. But they're gonna get applied to the whole shoot. So what we can do here is if you wanna just do it to a group of photos afterwards, apply it to one of the photos. Okay, we're in the develop module. I just applied a preset, and then I'm going to shift click to select the other photos. So I've got it applied to the first one, shift click. Now I've got all 4 of them selected down here, and then you're just going to hit sync down there at the bottom. Now, if you're not sure what's in the preset, I would just click check all, and that creates everything that was in. So that way you're not going to miss anything across there. And then just hit synchronize, and you'll see Lightroom goes up, and it just applies everything to all 4 of those photos there. So I'm going to undo that for a second here. All right, what happens if you got a preset and maybe you want to adjust it a little bit? Because to create a preset, pretty simple, right? We make all of our settings the way that we want them, and then we come over here to the presets panel, click plus. I just call this black and white, and then I check off the things that I've adjusted here. So what did I adjust? White balance, tone, black and white, all that stuff, which is cool. So I go ahead and I make the preset. But what happens is after I make the preset, I realize I want to adjust it. No problem. All you got to do is adjust your settings here inside of the develop module, and then go find the preset, right click on it and choose update with current settings. It's going to open up that same dialog box that we had before, and then you can just check off the things that you want to make sure that it updates inside of there. Now, if you're not sure, if you think, you know what, I paid for this preset, because once you updated it, you're not gonna be able to revert back to the other one. So if you think, you know what, I paid for this preset, I kind of like it, I think I might want to update it, maybe just create a new preset. So rather than update the existing one, just create a new one, so that way you have the old one there too, and you have your new one with your settings in it. Next up, so we talked about how to apply to multiple photos, talked a little bit about changing presets. What about stacking? So let's go through a scenario here about stacking. And the first thing that I can tell you is that the way Lightroom works with stacking is if you apply a preset with a setting, and then you apply another preset after it, as long as that setting that's in that first preset wasn't included when you created the second preset, it won't override it, all right? And it will stack on top of it. But if there's a setting that coincides with that first preset that was applied, that second preset overrides it. Pretty easiest way that I can explain it, okay? Let's walk through it and you can see it happen here. So we'll go through, and I'm gonna hit reset on this photo. And let's create a preset for this one. So I'm gonna go in, I'm just gonna turn it real simple. I'm gonna convert it to black and white, the default black and white settings that we got here. So let's go create a preset, and I'm gonna call this one stack 1. I'll call it black and white. Check none, and I'm just gonna turn on my black and white settings right here. Hit create. Cool, so I got stack 1. Now let's go ahead and make another preset here. A lot of times, I like to add a vignette to my photos. All right. And a lot of times I find myself adding some clarity to my photos. This isn't necessarily just something specific with black and white. A lot of times I do this to just a lot of photos. So let's go create another preset here. And we'll call this one Stack 2. And it's got a vignette and clarity. So let's check none, turn on clarity, and turn on the vignette. Hit create. Okay, so I got Stack 2. Let's do one more thing, and I'm gonna go crazy with my black and white sliders here. I'm just gonna drag them all to, or most of them here to plus 100, just so that it's an easily spottable thing for us. I'm gonna make one more preset. I'm gonna call it Stack 3, black and white. I've also still got the vignette applied and the clarity applied too. So let's go ahead and turn on the black and white to this one. Remember, I didn't include that in the last one, right? So let's hit create. Okay, new workflow, different photo. Working on a shot here, got this photo. So what do? Well, let's go down here and let's click on Stack 1. It applies the black and white setting that I had before. Now let's click on Stack 2. What's gonna happen? It's gonna apply the clarity and the vignette on top of it. I just stacked it on top of the black and white. Everything worked fine because when I created that preset, I never included anything to do with the black and white settings. All right, I left the black and white settings off. I never checked it. So I just checked vignette and clarity. So it's stacked on top of it seamlessly. Everything's good. Now, let's go hit Stack 3. What's gonna happen? That, when we go to our black and white settings, overrode everything that we had before. All right, it added the vignette, it added the clarity, but it also overrode the black and white settings. Had I had a different vignette or a different clarity in there, it would have overrode that too. But if I didn't have clarity in there, it would have left the clarity exactly as what it was at too. So if just remember this, if the preset that you stack on top includes anything in it below, it overrides it. If it doesn't zero it out, it doesn't do anything, it just leaves everything alone that was below, okay? So that's a little bit about stacking. Now let's talk about, so we saw how to save a preset. We saw how to get our presets here inside of Lightroom. Let's talk a little bit about saving, and this will take us into backing up. So if we wanted to get a preset out of Lightroom, maybe we wanna share it with somebody. Really simple to do. Just go to the preset, right click on it, choose Show in Finder. It shows you the preset, all right? Shows you the preset right there. And then you would just take that and you could share it with somebody else. So somebody else could go import and bring that preset in just like we did in the beginning of the video. But this also brings us to backing up. So we have access to this folder. Here's the easiest way I can give you to back up though, because this shows you where the preset is. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but remember when we brought these presets in to Lightroom? I don't need to save that folder there anymore. I can delete it. Gone, all right? Lightroom brought them into its system. So it's not looking at that folder anymore. It's looking in its system for the presets because it imported them and kind of like, just think of it as it made a copy into the Lightroom world. Those presets on the desktop there are not linked to it at all. All right, so back to backing up. Go up here to the Lightroom menu to your preferences, and on a PC you'd go to edit. Go over to your presets tab on the top and just show the Lightroom presets folder. All right, so this shows a folder called Lightroom. Inside of this folder is every preset folder that Lightroom contains, not just develop. All right, there's the develop presets that we've been working with, and if I expand that, you'll see all the folders. There's my ultimate one, right? There's all the other ones. The only ones you don't see in there are the ones that say Lightroom in front of it because those came with Lightroom. Those are the Adobe defaults. So you won't see those inside there. But all these other folders are ones that I've created. So they'll show up in there. So the easiest thing to do is don't even worry about all this, all right? Close all that and go straight to this Lightroom folder and back it up because preset files are small. So you can even see we're right over here, 72 megabytes. Preset files are small, so just back up that entire Lightroom folder. That way all your presets and every other place that we make them in Lightroom are safe. Now, if you want to replace them, you just run through that process again. So let's say I got a new computer, All right, I go to my new computer, go to my preferences, go to the presets tab, show the Lightroom presets folder, and all I gotta do is just replace that Lightroom folder with the one that I backed up. Just copy, replace. The only trick is you wanna make sure you restart Lightroom. Okay, so if you're gonna go messing around with the preset folders outside of Lightroom, just make sure you restart it, and that'll take and it'll pick up the new folder that you drop in there. So pretty simple. You don't even need to know where that folder is because Lightroom tells you where that folder is. All you gotta do is copy, paste your backup right on top of it. Okay, so we got everything backed up. Let's talk a little bit about organizing. A couple of things that we can do here. There's not a ton of stuff. You saw one of them already, which was we can right click and we can create folders. So we can separate our presets into maybe a black and white folder, maybe landscape presets, portrait presets, sky preset, whatever kind of makes sense, vignettes, black and white effects. So we can separate them into folders. There's one other thing that you can do, and that is, and you'll see that I've actually done it, you can name your presets with a number. So Lightroom is gonna sort them alphabetically. All right, that's the default. So if I go look into another folder here, you see all sorted alphabetically. But what I did with this folder is I named them with a number in front of them, so if I know the ones I use a lot, I want them at the top of the list, I can just put 1, 2, 3, 4 in front of them, and that way they'll show up at the top of the list. So there's a way that you can organize, you can kind of override Lightroom's system. You just have to name it with a number in front of it. The other thing is, and this is unfortunate, you can't put a folder within a folder. So if I right click inside of here and choose new folder, and I'll call it Ultimate 2, I hit create, it just puts it on the same level. You can't put folders with, I wish you could, but you can't. Which brings up a neat little thing here. You can drag and drop presets. I can drag them out of this folder and drag it right into that folder. So you can move them up and down. If you put them into one folder and you want to move it into another one, really simple to do. Last thing we'll talk about here is there's other types of presets in Lightroom. So the main ones are going to be up here. You got your adjustment brush, you got your radial filter, and your graduated filter. So if you go to the brush, when you click next to effect, you'll see there's all these presets in there. They zero out everything. So if I have all these settings cranked up here and I go to exposure, it zeroes everything out and it just moves exposure. Okay. Now, the presets below are presets that I've created. I numbered them because again, it helps me find them. But there is a way. I have one. I call it tack sharp. What I do is I open up. I kind of increase dehaze, sharpness, and clarity. All right. And I use it a lot on my landscape photos. So what I do is I'll take that brush and I'll brush it over the mountains. Now, the exposure's set down here. Let's bring that back to 0. There we go. And I brush that over the mountains. So it's kind of like dehaze, but it's got a little bit of sharpness, a little bit of clarity in it, and some other stuff. So it's a real good way to make some mountains off in the distance kind of pop off the background. So I can use that brush, but I can also go under this list and save it as a preset. So I can save it as a preset, and that way I can come back to it. And that's what I did with all these presets right here. I just saved it as a preset, and they will show up. It shares the same with the radial filter, and it shares the same with the graduated filter. They all share the same because basically they all share the same settings. The only other place that I shouldn't say the only, one of the other places you'll find presets are in like the slideshow, the print module, the web module. When you go over on the left-hand side, you'll see templates. All right, and I expand those templates and I can create presets the same way. And when we talk about the book, the slideshow, and the web, I talk about creating presets inside of each one of those sections. So I go over it more, but it works the same. Just click a little plus button up here and you can save whatever settings you have here. You can save those as a template. Big important part to remember is you gotta make sure you install them in the right place. So if somebody gives me a print preset and I go into the develop module and I try to import it, it's gonna get wrong preset type. So if you ever see that error, it means you're installing a preset in the wrong place. If it's a print preset, it's gotta go through the print panel, the print module to do it, all right? Can't go in the develop module. So there's print presets, there's web presets, slideshows. They gotta go into their respective places, okay? So I hope this kind of helps you out. I hope you go download the presets and have some fun with them, but I also hope this answered your questions, because I think presets can be huge for Lightroom as long as we set our expectations. As long as we know that the presets are gonna be a good starting place. Usually we're probably gonna have to tweak them a little bit, but they can save us a lot of time. They can help us be creative. Gosh, I didn't show you my favorite tip. This is a great tip, sorry, I just thought of it. All right, one last thing. If you're in the develop module and you wanna see what a preset looks like, open up the navigator panel, and if you hover over a preset, it shows you what it looks like. So you don't have to click on a preset to apply it all the time. You can just hover over, and you might even want to make your panel a little bit bigger if you're in preview mode, and just hover over. And you'll see it's changing the preview in the navigator panel. Sorry about that. And I was gonna say presets help you be creative, because sometimes they give you some ideas you might not have thought of, and that's a quick way to get a lot of ideas at once without applying the presets over and over. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for joining me. I will talk to you again real soon.